So I keep files, and I have every video I've ever taken of any case and every report. Well, except for a small 90-day window when we had a computer crash. But
All right.
lesson learned.
Turn it a little bit. There we go. Okay, y'all buckle in. 98 of us here. All right, thank you for helping those babies, of course. Australia, very cool.
Wow. Yo.
Yeah, so you guys realize, right? I know most people realize. So accountant, I guess, is a acceptable term. We've just been calling them like workers who see strangers.
Oh, do we want to call someone an accountant?
So we're gonna go with accountant because people, but we have no problem with the accountant profession, right? Let's just start with that. We have no problem with the profession.
To each his own.
Yeah, do you, right? But how she was dressed and all those things. That was a hotel that case was in front of, and
that was my fourth day.
That was her place of business.
And
a big,
actually,
big account there.
That was one of her places of business.
Yeah.
Because the first night she was doing accounting about a mile from there, and
hair in your eyelashes.
That video where you see her come into the hotel, that's not the same hotel where he's in the car.
Okay.
They're different hotels.
And obviously different clients.
Yes.
Different clients.
Yes.
All right. This did happen in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Queen. We try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but when you're busted, you're busted.
Okay, well, let's talk about how this all got started, because how I know what I know is, so the dad hired me because right when he and his girlfriend, who were both in the same gym, they like to work out in the same place, that's how I met her. Anyway, they had a baby, and he really loved this woman, and so all of a sudden, after the baby, he said she went from being, say, let's call it a church-going type, to the opposite of that. And then she took the baby and wouldn't tell him where the baby was. And so he called me and wanted to know, first of all, where is my baby being kept in the evenings, and she was trying to tell. He wanted a paternity test. She wanted a paternity test, I'm sorry, but they are different races, these two people. And the baby is the spitting image of his daddy. Yeah. He has a very good-looking father, and the baby looks just like him. They look just alike. There is no doubt in my mind that is that child's father. So the first day that I followed her, because the judge made them meet, and so he did get to go see the baby, and I followed her from that location to a Krispy Kreme. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So we went to the parking lot of the Krispy Kreme, and I backed in and watched, and here's what was so odd. She took out a little trike for children, and she let that baby ride that little trike. It was four-wheeler, them just little simple ones, around the back of that car in the Krispy Kreme parking lot. Anyway, to me that was like, not smart.
A trike or a four-wheeler?
No, a trike. I mean, he was such a little fella.
I'm stuck on this. Was it a tricycle or a four-wheeler?
No, it was one of them little. He's so little.
Like a red.
It just had like a red seat and then it had a straight bar and a straight bar.
Okay, yeah.
And he just holds it and sits on it. And
tricycle. So he's tricycling this little baby's tricycle
around the Krispy Kreme
parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Seems normal.
While she held the door open on her car, and she was talking on the phone. Then all of a sudden, she gathers the baby up, puts the baby in the car, and she shuts the car door, and this guy comes walking up to the car. And so, excuse me, I saw something change hands. I didn't see what, but I had it on video. You saw her hand come out and his hand, there was something went on there. And so then she left that parking lot. She backed out right then, and as she pulled away, I noticed that there was a man over here in a pickup truck, and he pulled out right behind her. So I was like, well, let's go. So we went, and we left that parking lot and took a right and went down a couple miles. Well, there's a car lot, and this was a Sunday evening, and that car lot was closed. So they took a left into that car lot, and they pulled all the way to the back of it. And I didn't go back there because I did not want to blow my cover. I mean, this was like my first day on the case. So I had to wait and see, and just assume what happened. But I'll tell you how long they were back there. So they pulled back there at 6:35, and then they came back out at 6:52. Just enough time. But anyway, so a lot of things could have happened during that time. But the main thing is whatever happened, the baby was there.
Right.
That was a mistake. So I encourage my client to keep going, get more people on it, and then we really started watching her. And so, let's see, the next thing that happened was...
And so, the dad, you had mentioned a paternity test. Did he ever get the paternity test?
Yes, So
now he knows it's his child, and he knows what she's doing.
Right, and so then that's when the judge said, let him see the child.
And so, she still wasn't.
Well, that's when they met up, and I was able to first make contact with her. Because one problem we have when somebody's hiding is, I got to know where they're going to be at least for 5 minutes so I can be there too, and we can go together. A lot of times people call and they're like, well, I have no idea where to start. Well, you got to give me something. Yeah. And so, anyway, that's where I picked her up, was whenever the paternity test came through. And he got to see him then for like an hour with her, because he was a small baby.
Yeah.
And so then he had to prove to the court that the baby had a crib and a bedroom, everything. He had
at his place.
Right.
So that he could even just get visitation.
That's correct, for him to get 50-50.
And was she compliant with the visitation? Like, she was allowing
She did
him?
what she was supposed to right then, but she was super mean and with her mouth, and then she kept asking him for money.
Right, yeah.
At the same time, boy, she might be watching this, and if she is, girl, I feel for you, and I hope you succeed in life. But she was stealing his identity. She had his electricity cut off. She had his phone cut off. She had, being his potential wife, she had a lot of access to all of his bank accounts. Excuse me.
Hi, Cynthia. I see you.
Okay.
All right, so now we're your first day
that
of surveillance
was my first day of
was at the
surveillance.
Krispy Kreme, which sorry for mentioning Krispy Kreme this late at night. So first day of surveillance, Krispy Kreme, baby's running around the back on a tricycle in the parking lot. You follow a truck out of there to a hotel.
To an autoplex.
An autoplex?
Excuse me. Like, they have like all these cars, and they pulled through the autoplex all the way to the back. So if I would have came back there, they would have known.
And her, the baby, and the
gentleman,
client.
her and her vehicle, and him and his.
Okay.
And it was basically they went somewhere very private.
Yeah. All right. So now you're on to your second day. Okay.
Well, that day we finished up by I followed her all the way home, and I knew where she was staying, which was north of Nashville. And so, since we had a bead on her location, the next day it was a little bit easier to start off with her. But the next day, I followed her to another hotel. Well, this was the first hotel I followed her to, actually. And when I pulled around the parking lot to see, where her car had went, because I let her go on in there, and that one has like 3 entrances. So I pulled around to the other one and come back through. I saw her parked over by the pool, so I backed in and I watched. She had a man in her passenger seat. The little boy was in the back seat. She had the light on in the car, and the baby was crying. So the baby was crying so long that I set a timer.
That would be so hard.
So, what's hard is I got out of my vehicle and I went and stood. I went into the pool and I stood as close to as I could to her car with the video going so I could play it in court.
Yeah.
Anyway, the baby cried for 3 solid minutes, and I think the passenger, they were having, like, maybe not an argument, but you could tell there was, like, a conversation in the front seat.
I know what footage you're talking about.
You've seen it, huh?
Yeah, but I didn't post it because it was so,
it's so short. I know.
There's just no way to try and
to understand what's
Yeah.
going
I guess
on
I could
there.
have done like a green screen thing, but I don't even know how to do that yet.
Right, but you can hear the baby crying, and you can probably see the pool.
And she's like all down in the seat with her.
Yeah, she's trying to do something on her phone, and then the guy's talking to her, and then he gets out and he goes and gets the baby.
Yeah, but she's a total stranger to this kid.
Yes, she is a piece of work. But anyway, bless her heart. So I heard her voice getting loud, and she appeared very agitated as she moved around in the front seat of the vehicle. She was very animated and whatever was going on with her.
Yeah, she's you know, I hate to call it tweaking, but she's like always.
Oh, she did appear to have. That's what I put. She was like agitated. That's how she was.
Yeah, agitated,
jerky, and
a good way to describe the case we
that.
just worked, which hopefully one day we'll be able to post. But the case we just worked,
mm-hmm.
where that's how I explained him is. You can tell he's agitated.
Oh, he's
agitated, and then once he took care of things,
right?
Like,
we actually watched him use.
He was all like smiling and chill, and I was like, he got what he needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, she seemed agitated most of the time.
Right. Okay. So get this. This is what happened. So that was at a particular hotel, and I understand that, and I'm not sure how she does it, but her former fiance, my client, told me that she steals people's identity and their credit cards, and somehow she'll book hotel rooms with it. And apparently she couldn't get it done there at that particular hotel because she moved to another hotel, and that's where she was agitated in the front seat. Buffy was with me, and Buffy pulled over here and I pulled over here, and we watched the adults get out of the car, and then I said, Buffy, did you we're always on the phone, I said, did you see the baby get out? She said, no. So I went over and I watched the door was open and I could see the baby in there, and get this, there was people about. It was like at 9:30 at night. There was adults over here smoking cigarettes and stuff because it's not the best area.
Yeah, plus you have like workers that are in from out of town. These like grown men, you know, and they stay in the hotels and they all hang out in the parking lot and stuff. Right.
And so I went up and stood by the car while she was in there, just so he would have some coverage, so I'd be with him. And then what I had Buffy do, I told her video the parking lot, and then I was like, go in there and see what she's doing. That nice,
a lot of paperwork going on.
What bit of paperwork we have problems with? And so anyway, but I remember going back to that hotel, and she didn't book it under her name or his because I checked. I ended up finding out who he was, which was odd, but. Anyway, it was all because thank you, Facebook. Love you, Facebook. You're my friend. Anyway, and so they ended up taking. So me and Buffy stayed with the baby. Then when they came back and moved the car, they still took the baby into the lobby of the hotel where they stayed in there, still trying to negotiate this room situation, which I've never seen anybody take that long to check into a hotel. Anyway, they finally got their stuff in a row. And they both went into the room, and they took the baby in, and we waited, and about an hour and 10 minutes later, they came back out. She was dressed in different clothes, her hair was wet, and he was holding the baby, and they came out and smoked a cigarette. And that's pretty much all I needed. That's when we call it right there, because I can't help the baby at this point. If you call the police, they're just going to say they're friends or that's my new boyfriend or whatever. She's just going to lie.
Yeah. So
what you do is you just have to get incident after incident like we did with her. And by the time this file got to court, I was just noticing we had 6 investigators with 6 affidavits, and we all saw different things at different times. And another thing, when you do something like this and these people are engaged in behavior that might not be completely legal, or they're in an area that's not great, you can't keep going back. Like I can't keep going every day. Like what you want to do is like me and Buffy the next day, this one and that one, and then this one and that one, and then we all switch up. And if you get in a situation where they've already seen your cars, one good thing you can do is jump and switch. Mm-hmm. Like they saw a dark-haired girl in a white vehicle, and we switch, and now she's a dark-haired girl in a red vehicle, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You can switch it up. I've even stopped the car. I was thinking it might have been on that case, and I called an Uber. And so I told that Uber guy, I was like, I know it says we're going here, but I just want you to roll through the parking lot, and then we're going to roll right back out, and he was like, I'm down, let's do it. And thank God he had really tinted windows, so I was able to snap some photos as we went by. But that's if you're blown, the only way to keep working the case is to go get another vehicle, get one delivered or something.
So out of those incidents you were talking about, was one of those specifically where that clip, the baby's in the vehicle and the driver's side door is open and they're in the lobby
and they're
of the
having
hotel.
Agitated,
right? They're trying
to
figure their stuff out. So, did you talk about that particular night?
Yeah, that particular night.
That's when you got as close as you could to the vehicle to.
That's when I stood right by him.
Yeah, I hear you on the clip say hello, hello,
I know,
baby.
he was looking at me.
Yeah, just in there toying around with his little snacks and stuff. Did she leave the car door open because she was in a hurry?
I think because she was mad.
Okay.
There's something, she was angry about something, and she just, because we parked, they went in, I don't know, anyway, you know where it's at over there, but anyway, it goes up this way, and you can come around the Mexican food restaurant, and you can park facing the entrance of that place. And she just, slung that car door open, and they both went in. And so I just think she was upset. Or she was demanding. You could tell by her body language in there at the front desk.
Yeah. And
that wasn't all she did. Man, I'm telling you, this lady, she was a giver. That's what I call it. She just kept giving and giving and giving.
A giving client. In this situation, while you're looking that up, do you call the father and tell him right then what's going on? Or do you wait?
I wait, and it depends on the client, but this particular client, he was extremely hurt because he did love her, I could tell. And let me tell you something, he would lay his life down for that little boy. And so I didn't want to get him all jacked up. My hope was that he would go ahead and get a good night's sleep, and we could deal with this with the court tomorrow. In fact, I went to court with him a couple times.
Did they have an emergency hearing?
Yes.
Yeah. And
this was the day that... Another PI is the one who followed her into a store where she had the baby in the carriage, and she actually had another guy in the store she had met.
Yeah, because I hear him on the clip. Well, I didn't post the audio, but you hear him say which one of these do you want? So she's buying a case and then he's also which one do you want to buy a single one of? And she just whips around and goes and tries to get it herself. And it was a very asshole. She's
very agitated.
Yeah, he's trying to help her out. Just tell me which one you want, I'll get it. And she's slinging the door around and stuff. But you can't tell all that from the clip.
So now, see, on that particular occasion, I sent a man in with her.
And they followed her around.
We'd been around her quite a bit. But when she keeps seeing women, then I've got one, and he's so good. He's a hunter. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he went right in there and.
Yeah, you can tell he's standing just right there. But the baby in the stroller is so far from her mind.
I know.
It's it's facing away, and she's just so mmany times doing other things where there's been so much time that has passed where she hasn't acknowledged the baby at all, check on it, nothing. It's just it's there with her.
And I know if you're a mom out there and you're with your kid at the dollar store or the Walmart or Thornton's or wherever, you keep your eye on your kid.
But it's not a judgment though in parenting. This is a situation where we already know what's going on. We already know this person's not paying attention. Mm-hmm. And so it's in the context that it's being judged. It's not a judgment on all parents and how how they, I left my kid, in the stroller by themselves for 2 minutes. We're in the grocery store. I'm right there. It's not like that. It's in the context of this situation. The baby's already being neglected.
Right, kept in the car.
Yeah. Taken into the office.
Yes.
Taken into the office.
And
over and
being
over.
there for that. Eek, ooh, Lord.
Yeah, yikes.
Yikes.
We had some folks saying, of course the comment section on TikTok is so much fun. I obviously can't keep up with it because once it takes off, it just goes nuts. But did you see something you wanted to answer?
I can't even imagine leaving that baby in a car. I know.
Yeah. Most people, you can tell in their right minds, understand what's happening. They'll look at the context of what's going on and then form an opinion. But you get people who are just well, I do this with my kid and I do that with mine, and you guys are judging how she makes money, and I bet the dad won't even watch her, and it's that's so far from what's actually happening.
Okay, so I remember this was maybe the first time this particular PI ever worked the case, but I was with him. And she pulled into the Kroger parking lot. Anyway, into the supermarket. And she pulled in the supermarket, but what she did was so weird is because she had just stopped at the BP and picked up a tall boy beer, and she had it in a brown paper bag. And so we saw her hit it right when she come out, but then she drove over to the supermarket and she drove around the parking lot like 4 times. And I was like, what the hell is she doing to the other PI? I was like, what are we doing here? So I said, let's just stop. And I remember I parked in handicap. This chick, I mean, this is how like blazing they are, whatever the word is for like no...
Audacious.
Yes, no respect for the law whatsoever. Mm-hmm. She parked in the loading zone, which in this particular supermarket, you came off of the curb of the supermarket, you go like 2 car lengths, and then there's this yellow stripes, it says loading zone. She parked right there, turned on her hazards, hit the beer, gets out. She did take the baby in. And she took the baby in, and we shopped for 43 minutes while that vehicle had the hazards on in the no parking.
And that's after she's circling and circling. It's just like so bizarre.
Oh my, let me tell you, I could tell you some stories. Anyway, one time in Ashland City, we went to court, and I was talking about how disrespectful these people were with the law. Like the children didn't have car seats. They were drinking and driving. They showed up to court. They had a Mountain Dew in the court. Clearly, it says everywhere, no food or drink. And the granddaddy, he's just killing that Mountain Dew. Get this, when we left the court, in fact, they were so country backwoods, I literally ran after they said I didn't have to testify. I got the heck out of Dodge. And so I ran out of there. I was like, bye to them deputies. I was running out. When I got out to the street, their car that I've been following for some time was parked right under a sign. I took a picture of it. I know I have it. And it's right under the sign that says, Judge so-and-so parking only. And they're in his spot. And I'm like, you see, you really don't care about the law if you're drinking Mountain Dew, parking in the judge's spot. Your kids got no car seats. I mean.
Tell me your WT without telling me your WT.
What's WT? Oh, wait, don't tell me. I don't know.
But no offense, though, right? It's not offensive as long as you say no offense.
No, because that just covers all your sins. No offense.
Yeah, no offense, but I'm going to say something offensive.
Well, that particular case they were at a horse ranch thing, a horse rodeo. Is that what they call them? A horse roundup. Anyway, it was a horse roundup, and the little boy that I was watching, I shut my eyes because it was the horse's choice not to step on the little boy's head because he was running right under it, but the horse...
And what case was that?
I don't remember. I have to go look, but I remember the address and stuff, and then I could look it up. But I just remembered that.
So we had a question before you go
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
How did she react once she found out that she had been followed by a PI?
Let me tell you something. She is so doesn't care that... Another one. We go to court, right? And we're in juvenile court. And we're waiting for the judge. And this was long before COVID. And so we were all allowed in the courtroom, and she's sitting there on her phone. You're not supposed to take cell phone, especially juvenile court. They're like way more strict than regular court. And so she's sitting in the front of that thing just texting away. So I was like, let's all party. So I took my phone and I put it on video, and I walked up behind her and I zoomed in on what she was texting. And then I went and looked at it, and it was to the caseworker of this case. Oh, we have a personal relationship. So you know what I did? I stepped out in the hall, and I called the caseworker. I said, how you doing? I said, are you coming down here to court today to help this young lady? And she's like, no, I'm not supposed to be there. And I said, aren't you texting her right now and giving her advice as she's sitting in the courtroom? And she's like, well, that's none of your business. I said, oh, I think it is my business, and I think you better come down here because we're about to testify against her. And if you're her friend, she's like, I'm not her friend. I'm a servant of the court, or whatever they call it.
Conservator of the court?
No, it's called...
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Anyway, she said basically she works for the court. And I said, well, if you work for the court, and she said, I'm standing up for the child. I said, then why aren't you texting the daddy? And that's sometimes what happens with caseworkers is one of the parents, and sometimes it's the one that is not really needing to have the kid. They're get into a relationship with this person and think they can somehow sway the judgment. But it didn't work. But anyway, the judge wasn't that happy. We were all in his courtroom that day anyway. But
I said, damn, Renee, get her.
I'll tell you,
a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is conflict when they do that. That's a fact.
There's a lot of stuff that's messed up in family court, that is for sure. And we get a lot of that too. A lot of people telling us stories.
Oh, I did have somebody else with me at that Krispy Kreme because they put in their report that they saw that she plugged her cell phone into the outside electrical outlet at the Krispy Kreme. The windows were turned off and all the windows were down. It was a very hot day. And
Did
usually...
she not have, did she live somewhere? Was she homeless?
No.
Wasn't she living with
somebody.
With the boyfriend?
She was living with not her grandma, but like her godgrandma or something.
But she had a boyfriend that was helping her out along the way too. Yes. Which I think was that one parking lot clip.
Oh, now that's just one of the guys, but the thing, he was on her Facebook, that's why I found out his name, but I caught them together twice. But get this, he had a girlfriend that worked at a cell phone store. The
tangled webs.
I know, because, he would leave her, and I knew where she was going to stay. So I'd go follow him, and I followed him to the cell phone store, and I saw him kissing this other girl. So I actually went in there. And I said, when he left, I was like, "Oh, young love, that's so sweet. How long y'all been together?" And she's like, "Oh my God, 2 years. I think we're going to get married next month." She's like, "He wants to elope, but I want to have a wedding." And then she says, "A month's not enough." And then I was like, "Oh, what's his name?" But then I found him on Facebook too. But anyway, they were all friends. Anyway, it was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't say nothing because it ain't my job to bust up her wedding.
No. Did Dad get full custody? Yes.
Yes.
I think that was answered.
After 3 court dates. She pulled every trick in the book. In fact, anyway, she done some really underhanded things. I tried to call him, he agreed that he would talk to us, but I guess he's busy. But anyway, I called his old number, and she left a really negative message. So when you hear it, it calls him some negative things. So I sent him a text, and I was like, "Are you aware of your old number, that it's her voice, and she's saying these negative things about you?"
Oh, if you call his number to leave him a voicemail,
yes.
It's her on there.
Yes, it's her on there, and she says some really hateful stuff that nobody would ever want said about them. But there's something a little bit wrong with her. People like that, they can't be right in the head. They need help. They've been hurt, tormented, tortured so much in their life that they don't have the ability to behave in a suitable manner.
Yeah, clearly she needs help, and obviously we would hope that she'd get
and I
help.
I've had some of these people call me, and I'll tell them.
Yeah.
I told one guy on the phone one night, I said, "Brother, if you've got a friend in the world, I don't care if you're old hunting buddy or somebody, when we hang up, you need to call them and tell them to come and get you and take you to rehab."
Yeah.
And actually, he don't remember a word I said, but he did it.
Does she have a substance abuse issue?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I know when you talked to the client, had initially agreed to come on a call with us, but we don't know. The last couple of days we haven't heard back from him, so we're not real sure what's going on with that. He's cool with all this, so we're not sure.
Oh, he said we could do this.
But he had told you a little bit of what was going on now, but you were like, no, don't tell me.
Oh, I was like, yeah, don't tell me.
Tell me on the live, but now I kind of wish you would have told me.
Well, I know one thing he told me is right now she's incarcerated.
Yeah. And so, how old's the little one now?
He's probably 3.5, maybe 4.
Yeah. I'm guessing Dad's loving life and doing good with him.
Well, I know that he stopped working where he worked and started working from home whenever he ended up getting the baby. But the court made him bring a babysitter because of her accusations.
So she was accusing him of stuff?
Of all kinds of stuff, which was ridiculous because you can tell.
I think that it's common though because men. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Women use it as a strategy to get ahead in court, and they'll lie.
Because they're usually believed.
Yes.
Yeah, they're usually believed. That's what I was trying to get to.
And nobody wants to take that chance that they might be lying, because
Right.
what if they're telling the truth? You don't want a kid to get hurt.
Right. That's why evidence is so important.
Yes.
Yeah, we may have saved the child's life. With that many players around, not knowing the child, that many strangers, and then just being alone in parking lots like that, where just anybody can go by and. I mean, if you weren't there that night working the case, standing right there.
Right.
I mean, that is just, it's lit up, it's wide open, windows down,
mm-hmm.
and you have people who obviously are not even from here
Transient.
around in the parking lot,
right.
in a bad part of town.
Yep.
I don't. That's just.
Irresponsible.
Yeah.
And if you, okay, let's say you choose to have that lifestyle. Maybe you really like it. I don't know. Great. Why don't you let Daddy have the kid while you do your thing, and then you come get the kid when you can focus on the kid.
Yeah.
Then you won't.
We got that a lot in the comments, which is like projections or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, people saying, well, I bet the dad won't watch the kid, or I bet,
Oh, he changed his whole life around to get that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, the judge was like, you can't have him this week because you don't have a bedroom. He moved immediately. He got a bedroom. And then because she was accusing him of all this stuff, so he had to have his own room. And then the judge said, well, he don't have a babysitter during the day. You can't work and watch him. So boom, he lined up and scheduled babysitters every day that were there in the house with him.
Right. Which is uncommon. I mean, it's so
I
nice
know.
to see a dad come through and be like, that's
Right.
my child. I'm going to do everything I can to protect him.
Mm-hmm. And then, you know what ends up happening? He gets all these legal fees.
Right, yeah. It's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely have ever even seen anything where I was like, well, that was just handled fair. That was all handled very fair.
Well,
it's almost never
okay,
like
I'll
that.
tell you what was handled fair. If you, somewhere on my Twitter, I think it is on my Twitter, and that is, you'll see one day that a 6-year-old little boy was removed by the sheriff's department. But the judge told the woman, and she was just the ex-wife recently, to not have the 6-year-old around her last ex-husband that she was living with her ex-husband again, this former husband. And he had a history of abuse, and he had a criminal history of hurting children. And so the daddy said, I don't want my son. The judge said, I agree. So first thing that happened was the boyfriend, which was her ex-husband, anyway, he came to the next exchange. And my client said that the dude was yelling at him, how dare you tell the judge you don't want your kid around me, your kid's no better than my kid, because they had 2 kids together, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I never said a word, I just stood there, and then the dude punched him. And he was like, well, it was the greatest day of my life because he went to jail. And he said, and then I got my son. So then the judge said he absolutely cannot be around the kid. First day.
And what county or whatever was that?
That was in Davidson.
It was Davidson County.
And so the first day we got there at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was Ty. And right around daylight, right around daybreak, the female came out and the 6-year-old boy stayed in the house with that man for 15 minutes before the man carried him out and put him in the car. So then she did this. They drove her to work and dropped her off. And who returned? That man and the 6-year-old boy went back in the house. So now here's where I think I went and wrote a review for that lawyer. I was like, I saw justice done today. Because the lawyer threw a fit. And that's, let me tell you, the best lawyer wins. The lawyer said, no, we're not doing this. So he immediately, I understand that he actually went and found a judge on the golf course. And got it signed, and the sheriff's department went over there and removed that little boy. And I mean, you know what that woman did? She married that dude. Thinking that the judge would let him come over if they're married.
Yeah.
People.
I'm trying to answer some questions here, too. About people wanting to become private investigators. I've said it depends on your state requirements. I'm going to need Discovery Plus. Yeah, so of course the show still, Secret Lies and Private Eyes, it goes over different cases. So we just thought people are interested in how these cases go, the drama of it all. But,
yeah, well, they like the video
but also,
so much that it's good to have some backstory.
Yeah. Yeah, and anytime I have a clip that gets put up, if it's going to cause a lot of interest and a lot of questions, we're going to do a live and explain everything. So that's the goal. And then the YouTube thing, I'm so new to social media stuff. So this right here will be put up on YouTube for anybody who missed the beginning and wants to know from the beginning how the surveillance started and all of that. It'll all be up there for you.
Oh, you should put it on my YouTube too.
Yeah.
We should YouTube it.
We should connect. We should connect. Let's see what we got here. Betch. Cynthia Betch. That's just made my entire week better. Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jules, but I'm glad. I know you guys are kind of carrying on side combos here. Yes. I'm Amy. This is Renee. Stillwatch Investigations. YouTube is the same as TikTok. It's Stillwatch Amy. And there's a link on my page. I don't think it's technically in my bio. I'm trying to learn the correct vocabulary. I always say in my bio, but it's not.
No, that's her mugshot. The girl we were talking about.
Oh, well, we'd have to...
But I see here, this is when she went to jail back then.
She looks sad.
But this past, I think, what he told me was she finally got picked up for identity theft. She stole the wrong person's identity, and now she's being punished. Yep. That's that case.
And so when they had the emergency hearing in court, obviously she lost, and Dad got full custody right then.
Mm-hmm.
Or full temporary custody until...
Right, and then she started making accusations against him, and...
But he wasn't anywhere near her.
She's saying he done stuff to the kid. Of course.
When did he have it?
He had him for 2 hours one day, she immediately made a report.
That's so strange to me. Like, how could you take a child into an office to do paperwork with your clients,
mm-hmm.
and the baby's right there, and you have that going on? How do you justify
being completely evil?
And then be like, well, he's doing this. And
my gosh, I know. And if you met him, you would know. He's like super great guy.
Vitamin C. I'm drinking all like...
And no vodka? What?
You don't know my life. All right. So I feel like we summed up that case. Do you guys have questions about the case in particular? Obviously not start from the beginning, because we're going to put this on YouTube so you guys can watch it from the beginning. But do you feel like there's anything unanswered? That guy probably will find a really good woman.
He's very successful in his career. He started dating her because she was recently reformed when he met her, and she was out of rehab, and she was doing really good. Mm-hmm. She just backslid. And then...
He might like the wild ones.
I'll tell you, she backslid.
I'm just curious, how this legal to put on social media? Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by how is this legal. It's legal.
Well, if it's not legal, I can assure you someone will let us know.
Yeah, we'll find out. But no, I know you're not being a troll. We get that a lot. It's just kind of a weird question, because if it was illegal, TikTok would pull that shit down. TikTok's not messing around. I've already had stuff taken down that was just
also, whenever anybody does anything in public, if you make out in the Walmart parking lot, we can legally post that.
Yeah. If
you come through the lobby of a hotel, that's a public area.
I mean, I'm checking the legalities on YouTube. I know I can't post this stuff on TikTok. But, we bust people in public doing their thing. So, No,
that gets seen by the lawyer, and that goes to court.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that's a tough one to send to the client.
Yes,
and you're
it is.
It is what it is, but you don't have to open it.
I call ahead. I told the attorney, I was like, this is a rough one. It might be the roughest one I've ever sent out. This is pure porn.
Yeah, right in the middle of the day.
And in the mall parking lot. And I said, you're about to get it. So I was like, you don't have to watch it all to get the gist of it. When it starts going down, you might want to turn it off.
Yeah.
And I told him, do not let the client watch this without giving them some heads up.
They need someone with them, maybe sit down. When it's hard to even film it, it's going to be hard for the client to watch.
But I've actually had a client over the phone. I told him, your wife is cheating. I'm here now. I just saw her come out in her underwear onto the patio, and he vomited.
Yeah, and so anybody who's just joining, the story we went over was the All Alone case, and we're going to put this on YouTube. So my YouTube is the same as TikTok, Stillwatch Amy, and you'll be able to watch the whole story. That way, we can't just keep going over and over it. So how much did you miss? Sorry, you missed the entire thing. No, we're answering questions. So if you have any particular question about the All Alone case, just shoot. We'll try to answer it for you. So more Happy Souls. It'll be up on YouTube, so you can. I'll have it up in the morning. I'm gonna get up early. I have so much to do. Vacation for me is next week, and thank you. Free to be. Yes, they do. Thank you, Cynthia. Did she not hail from her family? Okay, so her family, do we know anything about that particular woman's family?
Yes.
So I think what we're getting at is, obviously this woman, was she in a desperate situation, probably on, substance abuse, maybe mental health?
Well, when he met her, she had a job at the same place that he had a job. They were both very nutrition fanatics. They were both very muscular in their, build. They really work on
and
themselves.
she was
a
always
lot.
in fitness clothes.
Yeah, she is. She's totally into
clips.
fitness whenever, before it's happened. But
yeah.
Now, I did a bunch of research on her, and my client didn't know this, but she's actually married to a man in Florida. But they're clearly not together because, well, she's with my client, but also because on this guy's Facebook, he is, well, I'll just say he probably owns a motorcycle, and he has lots of tattoos, and he had a conviction for, what's it called when you...
Sorry, I'm answering
when
questions.
you're the pimp.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, do we have we have accountant. What do we call the accountant's boss?
Mm-hmm.
Which not all accountants.
Well,
are.
he was
Some
convicted.
people are selling pictures of their feet.
Okay, so I noticed that the two of them were arrested on the same day, and she was convicted of being an accountant, and he was convicted of being an accountant.
A broker?
Chauffeur, a broker. And so I was like, wow, what a strange relationship. And she's up here in Nashville, but you see... I see she probably came up here and got clean and got her life straightened out, and then somehow she backslid some reason. But that's what, get this, that gentleman down there is the same race as her, and she tried to tell the judge that it might be the guy in Florida's baby. But I looked on his Facebook, and he'd been with another woman for years. They were like this on Facebook.
The baby. Just
yes,
clearly.
And I was like, are you kidding me? So actually how we put a stop to that in court is when she tried to tell the judge all that. And that's when they started ordering that paternity test. But I walked up right behind because he told me, the client texted me, and he was like, she's bringing up some dude's name, this and that. I was outside. I went to my computer, I pulled up the criminal background check. I emailed it to his attorney. His attorney pulled it up and showed it to the judge. And the judge said, paternity test. Plus, anyway.
So in this particular case, I've got this question more than once. The mom, did she actually get in any legal trouble for what you turned in evidence-wise?
Not that I'm aware of.
She basically just lost custody of her kid.
Right. Now, see, what can happen is if we ended up testifying, which she would not allow that. That's smart. Don't let us get on the stand. Because if I get on the stand and we testify to what we saw... It becomes
so much more real.
Then the police can come in, and I've even had the police call me and ask me to send them video so that they could, finish up.
Now, did you have to send that in?
Yes, well, I've never said no.
Right, but I mean, if the police decide to pursue it separately,
yes, then I have to give it to them.
You're obligated to give them that evidence.
But they subpoena it. That's what I tell people, like, is this confidential? Well, yeah, as far as me and anybody here telling anybody, but if the FBI or the police or DA sends a subpoena over here, they get everything they want.
Yeah, they can have whatever they want. And so this goes both ways, I just want to say, because we get a lot of this on both sides. We have people, obviously, who would defend the mom and people who are just disgusted with the mom. And I think that there has to be a balance. It's somewhere in between. I mean, she might just be a shit person, right?
Well, at some point, she got cleaned up. You got to give her some credit.
Right, that's what I mean, is that we don't look at it that way. I mean,
people relapse.
It's like generalizing something that you can't generalize. Her situation, even though it might have similarities to so many, it's still she's her own situation. It's her life is her own journey and experience. So, it's disgusting, right? You leave a kid in the car. It's like that behavior is, but we're not saying that she is. I just want that. I want to somehow make that clear.
Well, I guess anybody who knows about being on drugs like she is, like for real.
And that's not an assumption. I've seen somebody say you guys are just assuming.
No, but
we're not.
She obviously went to rehab and got cleaned up enough to snag her a really strong, independent man, very successful. And then somehow sometimes that's a lot of pressure. And then you have a baby. She could have postpartum depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if that's what she knew from her previous life, that had to be an abusive situation. It's not like your husband says, oh, honey, let's make some money down at the street down here. Let's go. No, he's more like, whoop.
Yeah.
Do what I say.
The me officially, we're not saying that it's wrong to take your kid to school or work. I think you're missing the context of the story here. You're welcome, Alexandria. I think you're saying thank you to me. You're welcome. Let's change our views of that. This view is why the system is broken. Yeah, I don't know.
People need help, and you want to get them some? Let me tell you how to get them some help. Take it to the court that you've got all this evidence, and want the court turn around and say, now you're going to rehab, and now you're going to have to pass a drug test to see your kid. And that's happening in court. Like, we have a case going, And the mom gets the child on Friday if she can pass a drug test. And then if she does, we go with her just to make sure that the criminal boyfriend's not around. We have another case where the subject is taking an alcohol test every day. And those results go from their home to the court.
Yeah, a wake-up call, sometimes that's what it takes. The work, for the ones asking if you missed it, it's work. We're on TikTok, so there's certain things that we're not going to say because we don't want to get thrown around, you know. Thrown out. Door slammed in our face. The baby was left alone in a vehicle. If you check out the clips, the all alone clips, baby was left alone in a vehicle that was outside of a hotel lobby, if that helps you. Hotel lobby, multiple strangers being introduced.
Mm-hmm. Also, the little boy, the little child, he's very smart.
So cute.
So he's absorbing that stuff because the first time that I got up near against that car, he noticed me right away, and I could tell he was like looking for his adult. He was like, "What are we doing here?" Yeah.
And in one clip, she is standing outside the car, so I wanted to specify because I knew it was 98 minutes, right? But I wanted to specify that she's standing outside the vehicle because if we just say 98 minutes, it's like, well, why didn't you do something about it?
Oh, well, she didn't. No, she was right there with him during that time. I mean, right outside the vehicle.
Right, but it was like had been driving around and the baby's in there, never got taken out to get changed or anything, and then standing outside the vehicle with that man for the whole time. The baby's still inside there. I mean, even if the kid's napping, that's a long time to be in a car seat without checking.
And it was one of the hottest months of the year.
Yeah, and the car was running, but that was two different incidences. One of them, she was standing outside the vehicle, and in the other one, she has literally fled the scene. Nowhere, the car door's open, baby's alone, open parking lot, strangers walking around. And the footage is Renee standing next to the vehicle, like, I'm gonna stand right here until I know that the baby's
until she comes
back or this baby is safe. So it's two different incidents. We got that.
You know, our job is to report the news to the court. And now, of course, if I saw a baby...
Yeah, you got that question, too. Are you a mandated reporter?
Yes, Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I assumed you were, but I forgot to answer that. I may or may not work in this system in a capacity. That's totally fine. We have no issues with the line of work.
Oh, that's cool.
Man,
don't take your kids to work. I mean,
maybe just don't expose your little baby to it. But, you know, especially if the daddy is willing to, he don't care what you're doing either, but can I have the kid, please? You know, if you got that, if you have the option to have somebody watch the child, why would you, you know?
Well,
the judgment
I want to tell you guys this, what I learned when I had a consultation with a DNA specialist. And the DNA specialist told me she'd been studying the DNA since 1971. And she told me that the connection that they find with adult illness is childhood stress and childhood nutrition has something to do with the way your DNA acts and responds to stress as you get older. And so I think it's important to make sure your kids are as stress-free as possible. Don't get me wrong. I've got kids. I've had 3 kids, and I know it's not easy. And nobody's perfect, especially me.
I'm perfect.
Amy had a lot of stress because I had her when I was 16, so I didn't know how to be a mom. So she could have had a smoother life, but here we are. And also, I tell people this, when I'm watching your kid get in a situation, I always tell you this, kids are resilient. They're going to bounce back. Thank God they didn't kill them or cut them or hurt them or physically, you know. And we have one case, and I told the client, well, at least he's got the child. Now, this particular different case, but the child is at work with him sometimes 8 to 10 hours a day. However, we've been there, too.
Oh, yes, so that's a perfect example.
That one, now,
I see no problem.
I told her I would rather he have that kid at work than him be alone at home and you wonder what they're doing.
Right, or a stranger watching the child that she's unfamiliar with. And I just don't think it's the worst way to grow up.
I don't either.
So in that case, it's like we're paid, you know, we're hired to do one thing.
We do our job.
But I guess, what would you call it, morally or whatever? The way we view it is that he's not really doing anything wrong. But what he is doing wrong is he lied to the court, right?
Yes.
He lied and said that that's not happening, and it is. So there's your problem.
That's the problem, right?
Is you lied. But as far as what he's doing, I just don't see. I just don't see it being a problem. It's fine.
Well, the thing is because we're right there near her, we're able to go in there and operate in there a little bit and transact some stuff.
Yeah.
And so we sit, watch, and listen, and she's not in distress.
Right. She's playing. She's
got a little computer and she's got a little area. So anyway, so that's like one of those cases that we're working it, but it doesn't tear at my heartstrings. Whereas this other client, and I see that going on, I'm like, now that's a dangerous situation. Yeah. Also, God forbid you're at work and your co-worker does something to make you take a little nap, and next thing you know, your kid's gone, there's money missing off the dresser.
And there's money missing off the table, and your daughter's knocked up. Oh. That's a Tommy Boy reference. So for anyone who's joined and who missed the whole first part, Davey Nelson. All this is going to be posted on YouTube tomorrow morning, so you can catch up on all the story time for the All Alone case. But if you have a specific question about the case, just shoot. We'll try to answer it for you. Yeah, you guys are kind of talking to each other. Yeah, don't lie to the court ever. Me officially, I'm glad your question got answered there. Thank you guys for answering questions. 24-hour daycare service, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes, we are mother and daughter. Mom, daughter.
Yes.
She had me at 16. I just turned 40.
Guess how old I am.
And it's my 5-year from my heavy cancer diagnosis. So obsessed with Tommy Boy, bet. I can quote the whole thing. Please. The whole thing.
I can watch it on silent and I know what they're saying.
Yeah, if you're obsessed with Tommy Boy, you should probably hit me up on my Instagram account, so we should probably be friends. My Instagram is Gadd Life.
Also, even just saying Tommy Boy, right, stuff starts going in my head.
Oh, man, I'm a maniac. Thank you, Time to Pivot. Did I just burn you or something? What was that?
I like
There's like a delay, so I just saw myself dance.
I like when he says, I can just hear you getting...
He's putting the ketchup packets like one by one, like one ketchup packet per fry. He goes, Jesus, I can hear you getting fatter.
Went down that dash of that really bitchin' car.
All the M&Ms went rolling off.
Oh, God, I love that show.
He's like, I think you're going to be all right here. They have a thin candy shell.
I'm surprised you didn't know.
He's like, your brain has the shell on it. I could do this all night.
Oh, God, me too.
Ace Ventura.
Oh, we love Ace Ventura. Wow. That's what we watched when the kids were at home.
You have a Callahan Auto Parts t-shirt? That's sweet. I'm going to Google that. I need one. And my favorite color is green, so that'd be cool. Green Callahan Auto Parts. I'm for it. I want to start doing some clips from like Ace Ventura Pet Detective and somehow...
Oh, like move them into...
Like splice them into some of these clips, Like Buffy sending that one gif of him hanging out the window with all the wad of gum in his mouth. His windshield's all beat to shit.